Hello and welcome everyone. Today we will discuss several things you should know before buying Ghost of Tsushima. My name is Alex and I will be your host. So, we have less than a week before Ghost of Tsushima releases on July 17th, and it is your last chance to pre-order the game. Starting up the list is the premises of the game. The game transports the player into late 13th century Japan to Tsushima, an island of the Japanese archipelago located approximately halfway between the Japanese mainland and the Korean peninsula. The game leans towards grounded realism, with a touch of classic Japanese samurai cinema sprinkled all over the place. But in terms of historical accuracy, the developers took a lot of creative liberties. For example, they were mixing together certain details from slightly different historical periods, such as specific weapon types or various pieces of armor, or even some parts of the Japanese etiquette. Next, we have the story itself. You play as the protagonist Jin Sakai, a young samurai who participates with his clan in the suicidal first engagement with the invading Mongol navy as they land in overwhelming numbers in Tsushima on their way to the Japanese mainland. His entire clan gets slaughtered and everyone thinks Jin is dead as well, when in reality he survives and goes on to wage guerrilla war against the Mongol forces left to occupy the island. In the process, Jin begins to realize that the old and honorable way of the samurai will not work when he faces single-handedly against such overwhelming odds. That's where he begins to use anything at his disposal, including different underhanded tactics to get results. The player will have the choice of playing through the entire game as a samurai that honorably faces each opponent, or as the dishonorable ghost that becomes the dagger in the night and spreads fear amongst the enemy lines. But mind that these are only different ways to approach the various scenarios throughout the game. They in no way influence the main story, and you can even mix and match between the styles at any given point during the game. You will never get locked from playing one way or the other. One of the main aspects of the game is its stellar combat. The developers stated that they wanted to create a grounded and brutal setting, so the game is meant to be challenging. But don't be intimidated, there will still be the usual three difficulties: easy, normal and hard. The difference between normal and hard will be not in the increased health and damage of the enemies, no, it stays the same, because they wanted to emphasize the lethality of the sword that the samurai wields. The difference will be only in the intelligence of the enemies. They will become smarter, more aggressive when they fight you. And more on that, the opponents you will face are as human as you are. So the enemies go down in one or two hits, but Jin, as the playable character, will be also able to take only a moderate amount of punishment before going down himself. So throughout the entire game, the player will have to be cautious and weigh their skill against the risk of facing several opponents at once. The usage of special moves that act as skills in this game revolves around the resolve meter, which is displayed as small yellow circles in the bottom left corner. They deplete when you heal or use special moves, while get refilled as you deal damage and kill opponents. Next up we have the RPG aspect of the game. We have already mentioned the special moves, and there are various ways you can get those, through story moments, overall progression and exploration, to which we will come a bit later. Then there is something called the Legend of the Ghost, which acts as a measure for your progression, and you will be able to grow your legend through everything you do throughout the story. Amongst your equipment there are also charms. They are like the Japanese good fortune omamori charms, and you can find those again through exploration. When equipped, they will augment or reinforce certain stats and abilities Jin has. And of course, it would not be an RPG if there were no armor builds. There will be tons of different armor pieces you can equip that will also influence how the character is played. For example, you will not wear a heavy samurai armor for a night stealthy infiltration, because it would make you less agile and slow you down. But in open combat, it would provide you with great protection, increasing your survivability. And last but not least, we have the fresh and new perspective on exploration that the developer, Sucker Punch, have introduced. Let's start with the interesting visual part. The game's HUD will be easy on the eye, since the developers decided to get rid of the minimap, compass, and destination markers. Instead of cluttering the screen with waypoints and markers, the player will be able to choose a destination on the map by placing a marker, and then at any time during the game use what they call the guiding wind. By pressing a designated button, a gust of wind will appear next to Jin and it will blow in the direction of the waypoint, thus keeping the immersion of the experience. Also, the developers said they wanted to come up with ideas of how can the island itself guide the player. And thus, the game is packed with events and locations that continue to genuinely pique the player's curiosity, as smoke pillars can signify a camp with an NPC that requires help, or strangely growing vegetation can mean there is some kind of mysterious location with a piece of gear to discover, or even animals like birds and foxes that can try to get your attention and show you a shrine with a charm or a new move, or even abandoned temples. All in all, the game is shaping up to be a unique experience that will stay with you long after the credits roll. So thanks everybody for tuning in today, leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more videos like this one. This was Alex, see you next time.